I think people are drinking this in. They want to know more. Tell me some other stories of people that you've met across the country. I mean, you got to change the names, but tell me what else has happened.
Well, some of these, if the person wasn't hurting so much, you'd think it was humorous. But I received a call from a man one time in the Northwest, and he said something like this to me. He said, "Hey, I want to know for sure that I'm saved." And the person said to me, "Hey, I go to a prominent church out here, and if I told you my pastor's name, you would know the guy in a heartbeat. And if he knew I was calling you, he would say, John's the best worker in my church. He's not suffering doubts." But he said, "Let me tell you something. I'm not just suffering doubts. I'm not saved." So I started to ask the obligatory question, and the guy jumped in. He said, "Hey, wait a minute, just a warning. I read your book on doubt. Don't call me an emotional doubter." We'd already said enough, and I'm thinking to myself, emotional. And he said, "Don't tell me that." And he said, "Hey, one more thing. Don't tell me to go pray and read the Bible. Everybody tells me that. I need something specific." So here comes my obligation. "John, have you ever trusted Christ your personal Savior? You know who he is, what he's done?" And he said, "Hey, let me give you some math. I have trusted Christ as my Savior at least 5,000 times." And he told me how he got there. He made it. He could get to the number. But here's the question. How much pain do you have to trust Christ as your personal Savior 5,000 times? So the guy said to me, "I'll tell you what, can I start calling you on Friday afternoons for as long as we need to talk? I'm going to pay you." I said, "You're not going to pay me." He said, "If I can't pay you, we're not going to talk." I said, "Well, I guess we're not going to talk." He said, "Okay, we'll talk." And he started calling me on Fridays, and we would talk for an hour or two each Friday. Now, after all these warnings, don't tell me this, don't tell me that, I'm not an easy guy to... As the time went on, he started getting a little stronger and a little stronger. We worked through some of this stuff, and toward the end, this started in October. As we're getting toward December, he said, "Hey, I think I'm okay. I don't think I have to call you next week." I said, "Hey, that's good progress." And then he went one week and he said, how about 3 weeks from today?" "Yeah, that's good. 3 weeks from today is good." And finally he said, "I don't need it anymore. I got it." He said, "I didn't tell you this, but I've been leading a Bible study in my church for a long time. I'm going to go back to that study with more zeal than I've ever had before." And he said, "By the way, here's my business number, 800 number. If you know any men who are going through this, please tell them my name, tell them my phone number, call, I'll talk to them." Sometime later, I should tell you too, this came just 2 months after my wife passed away. And so I was struggling with some of my own issues, not doubt issues, but similar emotional issues. And John wants to lay this big thing on me. Well, he's done 3 months later. And I felt so good. But I picked up the phone and I called him back sometime later, and he didn't return my call. And I said, oh, he's struggling again. Because emotional doubt is the story of lapses and relapses. And the emotions come back, you forget everything you learned. He didn't return my call. I called again, left my name on his line. He called me again and said, "Oh, Dr. Amos, this is so wonderful. I'm sorry, I've just been so busy with my business, but I want to tell you something. I've not lost the joy of my salvation. I'm not saying I haven't had any bad times, but I've not prayed again. I'm doing fine. Keep sending people, And it was so liberating. I'll tell you, next to seeing somebody come to the Lord, there is nothing like seeing people throw this yoke of pain off. And they're not doing anything differently, except they're telling themselves different things. And I think that's the key to emotional doubt.